really excited. This is our first time doing this on WeFunder. Our audience today is really a mix of existing investors in ex judicata, people who are interested in ex judicata, who want to hear more, and hopefully we can turn you into investors. I'm going to cut to the chase. There are really two reasons why you should invest in ex judicata, or any startup for that matter. One, you believe the idea is a good one. And two, you believe in the ability of the founders, in this case, Kim and myself, to execute and make that idea happen. We know how to start, build, grow, and successfully exit a company. We've already done it once with our first startup. This is our second startup. Let me show you how we performed on that first startup, which is called Fulcrum Information Services. Hey, so we take a $300,000 angel investment. We grow the company from 3 to 60 employees. Revenue goes from 0 to 10 million, and the growth is all organic. We don't acquire companies. There's no additional investment, no acquisitions, no borrowing, no debt. The year 2000, 5 years later, we sell the company for $9 million to publicly traded Sylvan. That is a 2,900% return on investment over 5 years. And you could just kind of compare it to Amazon if you were to buy a share in Amazon when they first went public, 944%. We are highly confident that we are going to be able to deliver for you and really create our second successful startup. What made the idea for ex judicata, creating a platform for lawyers who want to leave the practice of law and find new careers, so exciting to Kim and myself was we saw a terrific runway for a need that was not being met. The legal marketplace is familiar ground. I should point out that Fulcrum Information Services was a B2B company where our prime audience was attorneys in law firms, attorneys in law departments, and C-level executives. So we know this market. Now, attorney dissatisfaction is at an all-time high. A year ago, the Bureau of National Statistics did a survey, and it came out that lawyers were the least happy workers in America. I mean, that is astounding. And in the year that's since passed, nothing's getting better. Attorney dissatisfaction is at an all-time high. And here's where we come in. The problem is you have this large group of lawyers that want to do something else, and they just don't know how in the world to begin, how to get a non-legal job. And the question we most often get is, well, how do I begin? Where do I do? What do I do? And that's where we stepped in to connect the dots from job dissatisfaction to actually getting that non-legal job. And here's how we're doing it. We have a diagnostic, the first ever career diagnostic for lawyers. We have education and training. We have coaching services, which is everything from helping you rewrite your LinkedIn and your resume to one-on-one coaching. We have money management services, because many people leaving the law may take an initial hit in compensation. So we have money management services to help them prepare for that. Then we've got a ton of articles providing guidance, wonderful inspirational content, 40 interviews with JDs that left the practice to become success in so many different areas, from baking to banking. Again, we have 40 of them up on the website. And then it all kind of culminates in the ex judicata job board, the first ever job board where 100% of the positions are non-legal jobs for lawyers. What made the timing of this so particularly good for us is at the same time we've got these unhappy lawyers, there is also a shortage of skilled talent in corporate America. Chamber of Commerce last month, 8.5 million open skill jobs, 6.5 million unemployed. There's this tremendous gap that we have started to fill with lawyers that want to transition and do something else. Now, we didn't invent this. Thought leaders like the big four accounting firms and the management consulting firms, they've been hiring lawyers in non-legal jobs forever. So this is corporate America now catching up, and Kim and I network daily with corporate America to show them, explain to them, and get our attorneys into non-legal jobs. We've gotten tremendous buy-in from law schools because there is a growing number of students that, even while they're still in school, have determined they want to do something else. And it also is a tight legal job market. Not everybody can get a law job, we offer the law schools a way of helping their students, and also I should point out alumni. And then perhaps the most amazing thing to us was the fact that we've got super buy-in from law firms. Law firms said to us, we know, and we've known for years when in the practice, who's going to make it, who's not. Who are the lawyers who have said to us, this isn't really for me, but we want to help these people. And we had absolutely no idea how to go about it. Thank you, Ex Judicata, for coming in. It's just been kind of wonderful to get that kind of affirmation. Now coming to my favorite slide. I love this because it's so rare in the startup space. In addition to being unique at what we do, no one services our niche, we're also unique in the world of startups. Every single person we have spoken to since we started, hundreds if not thousands of people have said to us, Ex Judicata is a really good idea. The time is perfect for it. Where have you guys been before? So we have no naysayers. We have 100% buy-in from the marketplace. You almost never see that with a startup. So we're really excited by that.
Okay, so now let me take you back to the beginning. When we put together the idea for this and decided we were going to launch, we obviously needed to raise financing. So I wanted to just spend a moment or two talking to all of you about our pre-seed round and our pre-seed investors. The goal for our pre-seed round was $1 million. I'm proud to say we were oversubscribed. This is a list to show you the array of investors that we have. Neil and I both invested. Neil and I are not drawing a salary. While we're very grateful to every single one of these investors, I'm going to highlight 4 just to share some of the unique backgrounds with you. Marty Byrne, right here, founded and was the chairman of his own law firm for decades. He then joined Ackerman as a senior partner. Marty and I and Neil have known each other for about 35 years. He was our first investor. He invested in us. We had not even started to build the platform yet. Then I'll share with you Bart Schwartz. Bart epitomizes Ex Judicata. He was the head of the criminal division in the Southern District. He knew he no longer wanted to practice law. He built an investigative services company. It is now a global institution, Guidepost Solutions. Bart invested in us early on and was so pleased with the traction that he saw, he invested actually a second time. Now let me contrast that with Kunal Chopra. She calls herself entrepreneur because she is an entrepreneur. She is a JD that's pivoted. Kunal is one of the founders of Elevate, and a shout out to Elevate. They were just named by Newsweek as one of the greatest companies in America to work for. Kunal did not know Neil or myself until we were introduced by a mutual colleague. After hearing the pitch on Ex Judicata, she invested right away because she believed so much in it. So that's a tremendous validation. And then finally, I'll share Bob Zukowski. Bob is in the belly of the beast. He is a big law partner at Paul Weiss. From his vantage point, he sees clearly why Ex Judicata is so important and there is such a need in the marketplace. Again, gratitude to all of the investors. Now let me show you where some of these proceeds were spent. They were spent building the technology platform. They were spent on talent, and they were spent on some additional support that we needed to get launched. So let's take a look at this, and the slide really speaks for itself. In year 1 of being alive, which ended in June, this past June, we have 36,000 unique users. We're now up to about 40,000 unique users, but you can see the growth over the period of time here. As Neil mentioned, we have these tremendous interviews, one-on-one interviews with JDs that pivoted. These are stories. They are stories about how and why they pivoted, where they pivoted to, whether it was business, not-for-profit, becoming an entrepreneur, successful, inspirational, aspirational. Our diagnostic, which Neil meant, we built with a team of PhDs in organizational behavior and analytics. There is a probability outcome match for the career index, which shares the success rate one might have in the 5 business areas that come out in the report. We have 25 full business areas. We could have 2,500, but these reports have been incredibly helpful because they can then take these reports and work with our Coaches Corner to help them be positioned for their next position. Neil mentioned the law schools. Right now, we have 35 law schools onboarded for their students and alumni. We have 2 nationally accredited CLE courses. One might ask, why do we have a CLE course if these are lawyers that are pivoting to non-legal jobs? We have learned that in the first pivot especially, lawyers very much want to keep their licenses. To do that, they have to have their CLE credit. The first course is Financial Fluency, and this is by Professor Matt Barrett, who's at Notre Dame, who literally wrote the book on accounting for lawyers. And our second course is on data analytics and visualization with Dr. Banashevitz. More information can be found on our website. In addition to the courses, and those courses do have a fee, right? In addition to our courses, we have webcasts that are complimentary. We have a series of If I Leave the Law. All of these speakers are JDs that have pivoted, and they talk about their personal journeys. And we've got everything from, becoming the CHRO of Pitney Bowes to the Wall Street Journal, to a CMO of a big law, to legal ops and much more. Then finally over here, on the right-hand side is our job board. And you can see the breakdown in the job board, but the types of jobs we have. And this will grow and morph as the industry changes, but this gives you a nice sample of what we're covering. So now I'm going to turn it back to Neil.
I want to point out that everything that you're seeing and will see is essentially the work of 3 people. Myself, Kim, and our one hire, Emily Fry, our 1-star hire, and we use 1099 consultants periodically where needed. So we feel like we're covering a lot of ground, but we've got so much more to cover. What do we want to do this year rather? Get at least another 500 plum jobs up on the job board. We want to build our on-demand content library, which means more courses, more webcasts, and more content, more articles, more interviews. We want to increase our marketing efforts with a goal of 100,000 unique users by July 2025. We want to triple the engagement on the diagnostic. We've had 50 people take it. We want to get to it 150. We think that's actually underselling it a bit. We think we're going to do better than that. And we didn't really speak about this very much. Our coaches, we have a panel right now of 10 coaches. We'd like to increase that to 30 coaches. Finally, on building on what we already have, we want to double the number of law schools, which have Ex Judicata as a resource for their students and alumni. We ended that first year with being on the law school websites about 35, but we want to get to 70 by July 2025.
And with that said, this is just a sampling of the law schools that have onboarded Ex Judicata as a resource for their students, their alumni, and even for their own talent needs. So you can see we have various schools from NYU to Notre Dame, and Boston University, Suffolk, St. Mary's, SMU. We really have a nice array of law schools that we've onboarded. The ABA accredited law schools hovers around 200. It ebbs and flows a little bit each year with accreditation. So we will work until we have all of them. And we are speaking to law schools pretty much every single week. Now, moving forward, we have year 2 initiatives, introduction of advertising, bespoke executive and legal search, law firm affiliate program, building that out further, and then creating the Ex Judicata community.
You can see on this slide, Stash Wealth, they are currently our only test advertiser. They are a wealth management platform. They love our audience of JDs that want to transition to other careers and JDs that are already in other careers, because these JDs have a lot more time to spend their resources. If you're not working in a law firm 80 hours a week and you're working in a more reasonable job, you have more time that you can devote to looking at buying stuff. And that's why advertisers love us.
Another area for growth, and this is a proof of concept that I'm sharing with you, that we are sharing with you here, is bespoke recruiting. We were approached by Marsh McLennan with a challenge. They said, we'd like to add a business person to our bankruptcy group. We would love it if you could find a big law partner with a very deep background in this area of expertise who might be willing to make a pivot to a different type of career, a non-legal career in a senior strategic advisory role. And so this is Alan Kornberg, who was a partner at Paul Weiss in their bankruptcy group. And you can see from his LinkedIn that he's now been with Marsh since September 2023, and it's going very well. We have 2 other bespoke searches similar to this that we are working on, and we're very excited about moving the ball forward with those clients as well.
Finally, we have our law firm affiliate program. This is where we get our branding on either the law firm's proprietary internal employment hub or their alumni hub. Most law firms have 2. This is a sample of what we're doing with the firm of Oric. We have several more in place, and we are aggressively going after more and more law firms.
And then here we go. This is the culmination of all the work we have been putting into this, the ex judicata community. This will be our very own crown jewel. This would be a build out of the first ever community of non-practicing lawyers. Why? Because it doesn't exist, and it would be a tremendous support group for people while they're transitioning and then after they're in their new jobs. There are power in the numbers. There are 1.25 million lawyers in the US. About 25% leave each year. That's 330,000. So you can just do the math. And this is according to a Kiplinger report. The benefits of the community: mentorship, sponsorship, allyship, bespoke education, in real life events, a private job board, groundbreaking research. Research hasn't been able to be conducted on this group because the group is amorphous. It doesn't exist at this point in time. And executive search opportunities, as I mentioned. This will also yield revenue streams: membership dues, sponsorship, B2B and B2C advertising, newsletters, directories, publications, events, and job placements. And then that brings us really to our pillars and the call to action. We believe in the power of community. We believe in the power of the JD. We believe in lawyers supporting lawyers. These are our pillars, and these are our reasons for launching the WeFunder Equity Community Round. So join the movement, invest today. And at this point, we're happy to have discussion or take Q&A. You can either raise your hand or you can put a question in the chat. I'm going to take the slides down so that I'm able to see that. And also a shout out to Kaylee Wiener for putting this all together for us. She's our superstar intern. So with that, let me escape out of this and see what questions we might have. Okay, I'm just looking now, Neil.
I see one question that had been put to us, that has actually been put to us in the past as well. What about the competition? Who is your competition? What are you doing about that? And here's the thing, right now, we have a terrific window. We don't have any competition. The only people that come up when you do a search under alternative careers for lawyers or new careers for lawyers on Google are what we call mom and pop websites, where it is one individual lawyer advising other lawyers how to get out of big law. But there's no discussion of, well, how do you actually get a job? It's more, look, I did it, so you can do it too, which is great. That's got its place, but that's not what we're doing. We're taking people on an A to Z journey. Search firms do not do this because legal search firms place people from law jobs into other law jobs. Executive recruiting firms don't do this because they place corporate jobs, CFO, let's say, into another CFO job. Nobody occupies the high ground right now, which is to take the person with a non-legal background and put them into a non-legal job. we are, one of the reasons that we're raising money is we want to distance ourselves further for when we see more people on the horizon. But right now we're in good shape. Let's see. I see. What is your biggest challenge? I think we probably come at it differently, Kim. What do you think?
I would say first, our biggest challenge is fundraising. And the second, our biggest challenge is educating the talent acquisition community. Let me step back. The non-legal ecosystem talent acquisition community, because the law firms, legal tech, and legal operations very much understand what it is that we are doing. The talent acquisition community in corporate America, we're just going to have to really work to educate them.
Kim is 100% right. And I would add something else to that, because we just see it in our marketing efforts, our emails, our LinkedIn positioning, Instagram. There is just so much noise to cut through. There is so much stuff to get to somebody to look at what you have sent them or to pull up your LinkedIn. So we just have to make our content as compelling as possible to get those people to want to see what we're doing, to look at what we're doing. So that then I think is another big challenge for us. An exciting one though.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it is I say this all the time. It's not rocket science. It's not neurosurgery. We know what to do. We know which magazines to advertise in. We know which websites to be. We know which conferences to attend. It's all a function of, you know, managing cash flow, right? Neil, there are two questions. Anonymous, how much are we looking to raise in this round? Our goal for our seed round is $1 million, as it was for our pre-seed round. But if we can raise more, we'll be happy to do so. Additional thoughts on that, Neil?
Yeah, and yes, I mean it's exactly that, and it starts on something like WeFunder. So you can invest as little as $100, and that is an actual investment. That is not charity. That is not like Kickstarter where it's token based. This is a direct investment where you become part of ex judicata, part of a safe, which is the vehicle that we have for holding the shares. I also should point out that one of the neat things about getting in early right now is people who support us early, even if it's just $100, whatever it is, they become our friends for when we look to the next round. And the next round is when the smart money gets involved. The next round is when the investors are coming in and they know it's already going to be a hit. Anyone who is with us now, we want to be sure that they have a piece of that. They are along for that journey as well.
Then Neil, we have another question from your friend Andrew. What can they do to spread the word?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say if anyone, well, going on our LinkedIn, our corporate LinkedIn, ex judicata, and looking at some of the things we post, and if you can in turn comment on that, rather than just like, if you can comment on that, that's a big help. On Instagram, same thing, anything you can do to engage there. Any lawyers you know in your network, in your personal networks, classmates, people you used to work for, just kind of spreading the word, because our goal is, our hope is, if we get one lawyer interested, we get another lawyer who gets it, who tells another lawyer, and it just goes from there. So anything, talking to anybody would be a really big help.
Yes, no, thank you. Couple more questions here. What will the funds be used for most immediately? You know, the community, we have it laid out. We understand who our vendor would be. We've had detailed conversations. We have it completely spec'd out. So that would be sort of our next quote unquote investment, if you will. But of course, managing cash flow day to day and month to month is job number one. And then building the community would be our next endeavor, if you will.
And along the way, anything we can do to increase our marketing efforts. We right now have gotten to this point with very minimal marketing spend on email and on LinkedIn. as Kim mentioned before, we haven't really reached the talent acquisition community the way we want to, because we know the publications that they read, the websites they visit. We need to be there too, and that involves advertising and marketing.
Absolutely. Okay, this is an interesting question. Apropos of the conversation we all had with Bart the other day. Are there any government-related jobs for lawyers seeking to get away from the legal practice? And let me take a stab at this initially. I have a colleague from American Lawyer who actually is running federal publications, and we have been in touch, and he knows what we're doing. He's very supportive of it. And as we grow, we're discussing how we could work together to take all of the opportunities he has from federal publications and make them available vis-a-vis ex judicata. So that is sort of in the next phase, if you will, but we've got our eye on that. We also have opportunities with businesses, so they're not governments, but they're businesses that greatly value government experience. So we do have a bunch of those.
Yeah, we've got one of our investors, Perio Chacher, has a public relations firm. It's really he's really a political lobbyist at the end of the day. He hires people that have government backgrounds who are lawyers. So there's that whole area. And there's also this kind of overlap depending on what area within government. Investigative services is a huge area for lawyers that want to do something else. People coming out of government, particularly if they're in like the SEC or the tax authority, the IRS, anything like that makes them particularly appealing. But more broadly, they say, and we're going to have more actual physical jobs we'll be posting. They say, hey, somebody with a JD degree, they would be a great fit just based on their JD skill set to go into investigative services. So government can go to investigative services.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And this is a very interesting question. And I think we can answer it in a couple different ways. Is it possible to reach law students who have left law school early so that they may want to continue, who did not want to continue after the first year? So the way I would answer this, so I'm sorry, I kind of messed that up. So I think what this question is if they've left law school early, they don't want to continue with law school, how do you reach them? So for us to be working with somebody, they would be a graduate of a law school, but in all the conversations we are having with the law schools, students very well may be having an awakening in as a 1L or a 2L that they do not want to practice law. So in some of the really innovative law schools like Michigan State and Suffolk, they have programs, Northeastern, they have programs to help prepare these law students for legal ops, legal tech, AI governance, really interesting types of positions to keep them in school and have them graduate with their JD. So we are working hand in glove with the law schools that we've onboarded and will continue to do so. And Neil, I'm not sure if you have something you'd like to add to that.
No, I think that's right on the money, Kim. Let's see what else we've got. Well, the question that would have to come up at some point is, how does AI impact what you're doing? What is the impact of AI on your business? We think that everything we've learned from talking to law firms primarily is that there is going to be a cutback on the need for junior associates, for younger lawyers. We think that probably translates into younger lawyers needing more options than just practicing law. If these jobs are not going to exist that once did exist, we will be there for them. I think that's really the main way to look at it. I don't know, Kim, if you have something else on that one.
Yep, no, that sounds great. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I'm just looking through here to see if there are some hands up or some new questions that are coming in. Oh, here's one, Neil. Somebody asked how long how long we have known each other. So I started working with Neil when I was age 23, and I'm not saying how old I am now. But if you go to my LinkedIn and see my year of graduation, you'll be able to figure that out.
And we've known each other for a long, long time. And what makes ex judicata so wonderful for all the other reasons, in addition to all the other reasons, is that Kim and I last worked together in the year 2000 when we sold this successful business. Kim went in one direction, doing a lot of different work for legal publications, private clients. I became a legal headhunter. But the idea allowed us to come back together to build something anew. And it was like yesterday. We just kind of seamlessly blended in. And that's why we are so confident that we can grow this business. Because we've done it, because we've worked together before, because you don't have the traditional problems that come up when two people are leading a company. We've already done that and been successful at it.
So here's the fascinating question. Oops, and it said no need to answer this one. This is a fascinating question. It talks about how the state bar rules apply to non-practicing lawyers and the ethical concerns. So in September, If I Leave the Law webcast is in the compliance sector, and it is looking at comparing and contrasting business ethics and legal ethics. So that's one part of this. The second part of it is, I mentioned our rock star intern, Kaylee. We are starting to build out a list of the executives at the state bars so that we can begin to have conversations with them. If a student graduates from law school and takes a JD Advantage position for the American Bar Association, that counts towards their placement metrics. Therefore, some of these rules would apply to that individual. Now, it's very interesting. What we found so far is that there are only 2 state bars that have subcommittees on lawyers transitioning to other careers. And very oddly, that's Mississippi and Hawaii. So we're going to start really tackling conversations at the state bar level, and we'll have more to report on that the next time we have a call. But we've got our eye on this. So thank you very much for that question.
Someone had asked a question about our investors in the first round. Are there similarities that brought everybody together? In addition to what Kim said, where we know a lot of people and have a deep relationship, the majority of our investors are lawyers, so they understand what we are doing. And a good portion, I want to say a quarter of our investors, are founders themselves. They started companies themselves, so they're involved not just to put their money in, but to help us identify opportunities and basically at the end of the day help us sell the company when that time comes up. Okay.
And I'm just looking for.
Just looking. What did Bob Cummings used to say, Kim? Anyone want the last word?
So Bob was our first investor, all the way back at Fulcrum Information Services. So there's a name from the past, boy. Yeah, so it's 1:34. Why don't we just plan to stay on for a few more minutes and see if anyone else has any additional questions for us? And everyone, let's see, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna put in the chat, Neil, our email addresses as well as the link for WeFunder. So let me put our email addresses in case anyone has more information. They can just reach out to us directly.
And that would be terrific. And I assume Kim will also have this video will be up on WeFunder once we concluded it for people who weren't able to attend to look at.
Yes, it will. I'm just sending out our emails and
yeah, and anyone has any questions about anything after the fact, please share us widely. We feel that everyone we speak to gets us that much closer to our goal.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. And we can follow up by email as well.
Mhm.
Just give me 1 second. What I did want to do is I just wanted to grab the WeFunder link and put that in the chat as well.
Great.
Okay, let me find this for everybody and pop it in the link. Okay. And I joked with Neil that there's a video on WeFunder, and it just, I mean, when they say that the camera adds 10 pounds, it's just awful. It's just awful. Okay, edit, paste. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and send this out. Enter.
And thank you, really, everybody, for giving us your time and attention. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you'll have the information there. Just reach out to us. You can always find us on the website or on LinkedIn as well. And thank you all very, very much for your time. And Emily and Kaylee, thanks for all your help in putting this together. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and end the webinar.